Steve, if you were president, what would you do in Iraq?
Ooh.
Let's see, we got another hour here. Well, in the interest of time, I'll just do it very, very succinctly. Up to now, forget about whether we should have been there. We're there, he said now. We have violated up to now the basic rules of counterinsurgency warfare. The first basic rule is secure the population. Up to now, the strategy has been light footprint, which may have been a nice theory, but it clearly 2 years ago was not working. And about 2 years ago, circulating among military officers was an article, I forget whether it was in Foreign Policy magazine or one of the magazines, with a couple of military strategists talking about how do you fight an insurgency. And it's been done successfully time and time again. You secure the neighborhood. Then you secure the next block and the next block. You don't need globs of troops to do it, but they have to be well trained. Ours are, thankfully. If you don't have that basic security, the place is going to fall apart. Why is there so much sectarian violence between Sunnis and Shiites? Well, they've hated each other for over 1,000 years, so that's nothing new. But there's a breakdown of authority. And when there's a breakdown of authority, people in desperation will go to whoever can provide them physical security. Without physical security, there's no civil society. So now, finally, the strategy with the new general there, Petraeus, is to do basic counterinsurgency 101 and secure it block by block. I hope the political clock hasn't run out to make that work. Historically, we've done it right. We did it in the Philippines. 100 years ago, there was an insurrection after the Spanish-American War. From 1899 to 1902, we lost far more troops in the Philippines than we did in Iraq, almost 5,000. But we learned how to fight that insurgency, and we won it. In Vietnam, we did the opposite. Big search and destroy operations. By the time we changed tactics in 1969-70, politically it was too late. The British did it right in the Malayan insurrection between 1948 and 1960. Secure it, piece by piece by piece. So that's basic number one. Two other things I would do. One is the big controversy, of course, is oil. The Shiites have the fields, the Kurds have the fields, the Sunnis who are accustomed to running things don't. The answer there is the Alaska solution. As you know, in Alaska, a big chunk of the oil revenues go into what they call the permanent fund. It's professionally managed. Each year, half of the revenue in the permanent fund is distributed to every living human being in Alaska. This year, every human being in Alaska got a check for $1,100. If you do that in Iraq, first of all, everyone's going to have an incentive to have an address, which is good for security. But also, it takes the issue of where the oil is off the table. Everyone gets a cut from it. And if everyone gets a cut from it, suddenly people are going to take a very dim view of those who are trying to disrupt the oil production. So I'd push hard for the Alaska solution. The other thing I would do is set up on the economic side, it sounds boring stuff, but it's basic, is a currency board. There's inflation in Iraq. Inflation is the enemy of trying to establish order. You can see that with Weimar Germany and elsewhere. Currency board, the Baltic states did it. What it means is you don't issue your local currency unless it's backed by the dollar or the euro or by a pile of gold. When it's backed by a hard currency, then you have a trustworthy currency, and it makes it easier for people to do transactions. The reason I think that would work in Iraq is that one of the most underreported stories is much of Iraq is experiencing an economic boom because they don't put restrictions on foreign investment. There is, surprisingly, given the violence in the Baghdad area, the Sunni Triangle, a lot of investment in Iraq. So you start with those three basic things and then follow through on securing property rights and stuff like that, and you have a chance. It doesn't mean the Sunnis and Shiites are going to love each other, but they're going to be busy doing other things. If you want to see an amusing version of this, just read P.J. O'Rourke. The other day he was interviewed in the Wall Street Journal talking about Northern Ireland. Why is there less violence there now than there was before? He says not because of diplomacy, but because people got rich because of the boom in the Republic of Ireland. Huge boom there. Their per capita income is now higher than Britain's, and Germany and France, and also the boom in Britain spilled over in Northern Ireland. So he said people got too busy getting rich. They'd taken vacations in Spain. He said, he said we got to do the same thing in Iraq. So that yes, on the to-do list is to kill Shiites, but I first got to get the kids to school. I got to get the mortgage paid and things like that. It's on my to-do list, but I just can't seem to get to it.
Well, you're doing a good job because they're cheering you on in the cyber world here, and they now want you to run for president again.